As we know, the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board has deferred the implementation of the temporary reduction in surge pricing for transport network vehicle services. The LTFRB said moving the start of the holiday surge price cap from December 17 to December 20 will give transport network companies more time to comply. The price cap will remain in effect until January 4. Meanwhile, the long-planned rehabilitation of EDSA is set to begin on Christmas Eve, December 24. To talk more about these latest developments, we have Abigail Modales, active transport lead of the Move as One Coalition. Magandang umaga sa iyo, Abigail.
Hi, Gretch. Good morning.
Okay, of course, we are centering on two issues here when it comes to the TNVS. First is the cancellation of bookings. The second one is surge pricing. And you as Move as One Coalition, I know you're balancing different interests at play here. The interest of the commuting public and the interest of the drivers also. So where is Move as One Coalition on those two things?
All right. So, Gretch, for the TNVS cap pricing, it's already been here. It's already been present since before. And we know that it's an effect of high demand and low supply. And so what happens here is we're balancing both interests, but we acknowledge that even if there is a cap pricing, if drivers from these TNVS companies see that it's not commensurate with their time, fuel, and opportunity cost, then most likely commuters will also not be able to get these rides. So even if there is cap pricing, if there are no rides available, the supply is low, then we have commuters and pedestrians still left for hours on end without being able to book a ride. And we see this as a result of non-prioritization of mass transport. We are seeing here a a situation wherein our commuters are being forced to create or to use TNVS as their lifelines because mass transport has not been given an opportunity to become the lifeline that these commuters should be using instead.
Okay. But itong surge pricing, tama ka, hindi ito bago, no? In fact, maraming nagrereklamo dahil nagugulat sila dun sa presyo ng TNVS. Although there are already alternatives and much more competition now compared to before. But still, if you take a look at the prices, it might be equivalent to a day's wage, right? Have you taken a look at the calculations and how reasonable the surge prices are?
It's one of the things that we ask TNVS companies for, as well as the Department of Transportation, to be clear and to be transparent about how these surge pricings or how these pricings are being computed, because it can range from in the 50s to 150 in additional pricing when you book a Grab. I'm also a TNVS user, so different TNVS I use it, and it varies across different applications. And so that is also what we ask for in the coalition, that there be transparency and openness when it comes to the computation of this pricing. But as of now, we have no figures or data to look at because it's not been given or it's not been published by TNVS companies.
Well, on the other end, you're right, no, to note that if there's high demand and low supply, and if you put a cap on it, bababa pa yung supply lalo. But on the other end, paano naman yung mga sasakay na walang budget? Pagka masyado namang itong mataas, hindi rin sila makaka-book, ano? What are your thoughts on that?
So we know that the TNVS or the surge pricing serves only those who are not earning daily wage. But we know that this is not realistic for our regular ordinary laborers who earn daily wage and who just wants to get home. So we know that the pricing also is exclusionary, to the sense that it only caters to those who can afford it, but does not leave an option to those whose salary cannot even cover the cost of the surge in pricing with the TNVS option.
And if we're trying to balance interests here, doesn't that make the surge pricing cap or surge price cap a little bit more reasonable para kumbaga makontrol yan? Meron na ba kayo na figure out in conversations with government na paano gagawin yung price cap na yun that won't hurt
Our,
both sides too much?
right. So our position in the coalition is that this price caps is always a short-term solution. So it can help temporarily some of our commuters and some of the public that uses the TNVS, but it will not take long before it crumbles again and before we see the issues and the bigger problems it gives. So our solution for this, of course, do what is necessary. Right now, if the price cap seems necessary, it will only provide short-term solution. But the long-term solution really is to improve our supply of mass transport, our buses and jeeps, so that the general public has more options and not only the TNVS. Because what's happening right now, Gretch, is the price cap is only applicable to TNVS. So it limits the option of commuters and pedestrians who are just trying to go home. And right now, we're not giving much of an option to the commuters. This is a little reprieve, if you may, but it does not give much option to the commuters.
No, I do remember though, parang nagkaroon din ng issue between taxis and TNVS vehicles kasi kumbaga parang in terms of fairness over how much they charge. No? Parang may limit yung mga taxi pero pagdating dito sa TNVS, they can go as high as, the surge pricing takes them. So in effect, doesn't that level the field here, giving more demand for the traditional taxis? Or do you see this just worsening the whole problem in general?
The Carmageddon actually, Gretch, is affecting across different public transport supplies and public transport workers. So if you have a TNVS driver who does not want to drive because he sees that it's the price cap is not commensurate with the time, fuel, and opportunity cost. Then you also have taxi drivers, not only taxi drivers, but also jeepney drivers who are taking much longer time when it comes to their travel because of the bad traffic that we have right now in EDSA, in general Metro Manila. So even if it does level the playing field a little bit because people or commuters mas magiging prefer na nila yung regular taxis kasi mas mura ito kaysa sa TNVS, still you have there the will of the public transport workers here. So kung nakikita nila na hindi naman sapat yung marireceive nila na bayad para sa traffic na kailangan nilang harapin, you're still faced with a lower supply for the commuters when it comes to public transport.
Although kahapon, na-note ko na parang medyo lumuwag ang traffic, ano? And may nakapagsabi sa akin from your group na baka dahil ito sa Tigil Pasada, because itong mga TNVS, umiikot sila sa mga, business district. Like, for example, here in Mandaluyong, and then sa Ortigas, and then sa BGC, etc., etc. So medyo lumuwag, pero in terms of traffic congestion and could lead demand somewhere else, no? Have you gotten to how much the income of the TNVS drivers will be affected by this temporary price cap? That's until January 4.
We heard from the news, and we heard from some TNVS drivers that some of the TNVS companies are shouldering the difference in the price cap when it comes to the surge, and are actually subsidizing the cost that it takes for the TNVS drivers. But as to the actual, how much of it is being subsidized by the company. We are in the dark here because it's unclear as to how much actually or what percentage of it is being shouldered by the TNVS companies. But from what I've heard from on the ground, I take TNVS every day, and asking the drivers around, we heard that this really affects their potential income earnings by around 15 to 20%. So this is a kumbaga parang tinataga talaga sila. And I heard from most of the
Tinataga
drivers that
nino, tinataga ng
tinataga
tina,
sila ng price cap
ng price
because
cap. Oh.
even if this is being subsidized or this is being shouldered by the TNVS companies already, but they
Although this
see
is just about to be implemented, 'di ba? So hindi pa siya in place.
this was already the price cap was already in place before. This is a short-term solution that was offered in the previous holiday rush seasons before,
Ah,
Gretch.
last year. Ah,
Yes.
okay.
So this was already an experience that they had. So what they're saying is that if the companies are subsidizing it or shouldering it, it has to be a better pricing model than what they've experienced last year.
Oh, I share the same experience with you. I am also a TNVS commuter. Many times, no, I take this route kasi pag napapagod na magmaneho. At nakakausap ko rin yung mga driver. Tinatanong din natin, no, kung magkano ba kinikita ninyo, etc. And in fact, I do know several drivers also who have gone into this mode of livelihood because it's lucrative. Medyo malaki yung kinikita, no. I believe on a good day they can earn as much as 5,000 pesos. Multiply it by 30, it's a lot. Pero syempre magbabayad pa yan ng boundary, magbabayad pa yan ng pambayad ng sasakyan. So in effect, they would earn probably 1,000 to 2,000. If you take a look at that, those figures, still a lot more than the minimum wage. Right? So don't you think that the price cap was somehow bababa yung kita, understandably, but it's also for the benefit of the public for this season?
It is for the
What do you think of
benefit.
that?
Well, the TNVS price cap, the goal of it is to become beneficial for the commuters. That is the general goal why it's being implemented. But what we've seen here is this is just going to be a temporary fix, short-term fix during the holiday season, the holiday rush. Actually, Gretch, my mom is a TNVS driver, previously a TNVS driver. And so what she is able to bring back home, it's around the figure that you just said, 1,000 to 1,500. But she experienced the price cap during the holiday rush last year. Or the income that she was able to bring back home went back down to 500 to 800 pesos a day. Still high, still relatively high than the regular wage. But the truth there is you have to also think about the bills that she has to pay, and when you add it all up, yung bayad sa kotse, yung fuel na tumataas, hindi pa naman tayo nagkaroon ng substantial na rollback ulit sa ating fuel, and the time that she spends in the streets, even just going to the pickup point and then to the drop-off point. So, medyo apektado din yung mga drivers natin. But then, the position is, we need more long-term solutions other than the price cap. This is not going to be the last holiday rush that we're gonna experience. As Filipinos, we have festive Christmases, and we expect this to happen again next year. And it can't always be that the solution is a price cap, because there are different interests that are being affected, and not our public transport is not being maximized by the commuters.
So work on the supply end. That much is clear as a long-term solution. The other issue here at hand is yung cancellation of bookings, ano? And naglabas ng memorandum itong LTFRB that would penalize the drivers who cancel on short distance or non-profitable trips in favor of a higher fare charge. Where is move as one on this?
For this, Gretch, so the coalition has not yet come up with a position on
Okay.
where we are when it comes to penalizing these drivers, because of course this is also livelihood, but then we also have to balance it with the interests of the commuters that are expecting to be picked up by these drivers, and then along the way there is cancellation happening. So at
Oo,
the moment,
kasi
the coalition is still yet to come up with a position on it.
no, kasi this is a provision. Matagal naman na merong provision yan dun sa ating batas. Under refusal to convey passengers, which is a violation. Pero nadagdag na dito sa provision to yung TNVS specifically kasi bago itong sector in transportation. So that's something that has been added as a memorandum under joint administrative order, or rather the under LTFRB Memorandum Circular 2025-055. But the other issue I wanted to talk to you about is the EDSA rehabilitation. How do you see this impacting transport, and what do you think of the solutions that they found?
So as of now, when it comes to the EDSA rehabilitation, we haven't heard much yet as to the transition plan. All we heard yet is that the bus lanes are being prioritized when it comes to the rehabilitation. There will be a relaying of the asphalt, but as to the transition, or how will the commuters be able to navigate through the rehabilitation, because I know that this was scheduled because our roads are not being used as much as in a regular day, but still there are people, our workforce are still coming to work during these days. So there is yet to be a communication on a lower level and more detailed level as to how the transport supply will be um, will be supported by the government, so that our commuters won't be affected by it. But as to the other plans, just recently we had a walk with the OTR Secretary Sec Banoy, and then DPWH Secretary Sec Vince Dizon. There was an audit that happened in the stretch of EDSA to Pasay. So we had a walk through there, and we saw that most, or if not all, of the parts of the street are non-accessible when it comes to persons with disability and to pedestrians. So the DOTR and DPWH are looking to create an EDSA that is more accessible. So at that much we know that looking to prioritize the movement of people instead of just the movement of cars. But what we need right now in the pre-rehabilitation phase is the transition, so that our commuters won't be affected during the rehabilitation.
This rehabilitation plan, adjusted rehabilitation plan, will focus on the asphalt overlay on EDSA using new technology, stone mastic asphalt, a newer and more durable asphalt technology. And compared to before, kung 2 taon, ngayon 8 months na lang gagawin, in 2 phases, from January or December 24 to January 5. It will happen 24 hours over the busway lanes. And from January 5 onwards, mukhang 10 p.m. hanggang 4 a.m. na lang gagawin yung trabaho. Lane by lane, hindi na sila mag-block off ng whole portions of EDSA. But I wanted to get your thoughts on, I guess, because there was also much talk about what could be done with EDSA. 'Di ba? Kung i-rehabilitate nyo na lang, gawin nyo ng maganda, i-widen nyo na itong mga pedestrian, pero bumagsak tayo ulit dito sa naunang solusyon, which is dati pa na ginagawa naman nila sa EDSA, 'di ba? Yung section by section na pag-aayos ng kalsada. It's the same thing we're seeing here, only we're using new technology. Are you happy? Are you happy with this solution that they've come up with? And I guess what happens now to the other aspirations for this major national highway?
Right. So way back in June, the what was communicated when it comes to the EDSA rehabilitation is this is going to be a total revamp of what the EDSA is currently right now. So it means that it's a total redesign of what EDSA is, and we've seen the design before. It's still very much car centric, wherein we have very narrow pathways or sidewalks for pedestrians, and then the connectivity wasn't thought about that much when it comes to where commuters will be waiting for the public transport. Yun yung kulang doon sa unang design noong June, way back in June. So we protested against it through the May Tao po sa EDSA Walk, wherein we say if we're going to revamp the EDSA this way, then we must make more spaces for people, because yun na nga yung naging problema natin. The reason why we're having all these problems when it comes to traffic is because we're not putting people first when it comes to the design. Kaya tuloy, nagkakaproblema sa supply, not only in mass public transport, but also in active mobility, people on bikes. But right now, so inurong nila, they said we'll come up with a better plan. So we'll come up with a better solution, and we'll come up with a better plan, so that in the pre-rehabilitation phase, hindi magkakaroon ng problema ang mga commuters. But right now, what we're seeing is just the regular, yung pag-aayos ulit, Gretch, naaayusin lang ulit yung mga kalsada. So of course, what we're seeing here is we're just making the roads better again. But the allocation of the space, we're not doing something about it. We're going to have another EDSA again after this rehabilitation. We're going to have another EDSA that does not cater to the people and still brings the same problems that we have now.
And another band-aid solution, literally. It just seems to be the bare minimum, but we are with you in pushing that direction. Sana patuloy ang pagkakalampag po ninyo sa kanilang mga pintuan. Maraming salamat for your time today from wherever you are. We do hope you're having a good holiday season. We have Abigail Modales, Active Transport Lead of Move as One Coalition. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.